60% of our participants have already joined today, and I think we can start. I will give a short introduction to today's speaker. Today's speaker is Dr. Smita Kale from Venture Center. You all remember the first session on this course was given by Dr. Premnath. He's also from Venture Center. Dr. Kale is from Venture Center. Her role is she's an associate manager in incubator operations. She have bachelor's, master's, and PhD on pharmaceutical science from Goa and Bharati Vidyapeeth and then IIT Mumbai. She have more than 12-year experience in teaching as well as in research. And in the Venture Center, we all discussed about the role of Venture Center, what and the function of Venture Center from Dr. Premnath. Dr. Smita is taking care of the incubator vertical of the Venture Center. Her role is, creating the incubator ecosystem and finding out the prospective people who need to be incubated and then connecting them with the current incubator and then those who have already went out and started their ventures. So she is more into developing, finding out people with entrepreneurial skill and then developing them into a independent business people. So with this short introduction, I will leave the floor to Dr. Kale. Please, Dr. Kale.
Thank you, Karthik, for the kind introduction. Give me a second. I'll start sharing my screen and then we'll start. So is my screen visible to all? Full screen?
Visible to all. Yes, you can go ahead.
Sure. So thank you very much, Pune Knowledge Cluster and ARI for the invitation. So today I'll be talking about effective grant writing. So happy to meet all of you here. And so this is the outline for my today's talk. I'll briefly give you an overview of Venture Center, what we have, what we do, and then we'll discuss the basics of grant writing. I'll take one specific example of a grant, that is the Biotechnology Ignition Grant, and tell you like how we build the proposal there. And finally, we'll have some concluding remarks. So I'm from Venture Center. We are located at Pashan next to IISER Pune, and we are India's leading inventive business incubator. So we are registered as a Section 8 non-for-profit company incorporated as Entrepreneurship Development Center. We are now 14 years old. We are hosted by CSIR NCL, and we are the first incubator under CSIR. We are approved by NSCEDB and BIRAC and are recognized by DSIR and DIPP. So being a non-for-profit organization, we are eligible for CSR funding, and through this funding also we support our startups. So here you see some recognitions which we have got on national and international platforms. So this is Dr. Premnath, as Karthik mentioned, he was the first speaker for this program, and this is the award he's receiving at the hands of President of India. This is my colleague Shoma, who is the incubator manager here. So this is an international award which we won in 2018, and this is a recent one which we won in 2019. The mission of Venture Center is to nucleate and nurture. So by nucleate, we mean if you are a first generation entrepreneur and you are starting on your own, say after your graduation or after some years of experience, and you don't know how to build your startup. So at that stage, as well as nurture means if you already have a startup, you are say 3 to 5 years old, and then you are seeking some help with respect to mentoring, raising funds or some connects. At that moment also, we help technology and knowledge-based enterprises for India. And how do we do that is by leveraging the scientific and engineering competencies of the institutions in the region. So we all know Pune is an educational hub, and we have very good R&D organizations around. So we take help from senior mentors from here. And that's how we help our startups. So the focus areas of Venture Center are to promote inventive enterprises and spin-offs from R&D institutions. So these are broadly the areas which we are supporting: healthcare, biotech, biomed, life sciences, energy, environment, sustainability, engineering, electronics, agriculture, secondary agriculture, food and nutrition. So at Venture Center, we have developed a complete innovation ecosystem where all the facilities and services are provided to a startup under one roof. Okay, so here we are providing infra facilities that are dedicated lab spaces and office spaces. For mentoring, we do online mentoring, that is through Mentor Pool platform, and for offline, we have lot of connects with good mentors in Pune as well as pan India and abroad, and we connect the startups to them. We host a lot of funding programs at Venture Center in form of fellowships, seed funds, grant funding, and CSR funding. We have a very good library at Venture Center, and there is a funding database which is available online, where you get all the information of the funding opportunities which are open, the calls which are open, and it's a very good database. I'll suggest everyone to kindly have a look at it. Then there are plug and play labs. So other than the dedicated labs which you take, if you need some common equipment related to chemistry, biology, or analytical chemistry, then these are the shared labs which are available with us. If you are working on developing a diagnostic device or an implant, then we have a tinkering lab which is equipped with 3D printer, laser cutter, scanner, which are required for this. For testing and analysis, we have very good, well-equipped lab with high-end analytical equipment. So we have mass specs with us, we have chromatographic systems, spectrophotometers, and these are the labs here. Then as you see, many of them are working in healthcare, so they need to understand different kind of certifications, approvals, regulations. For that, we have RIFC, that is Regulatory Information and Facilitation Center. That's a service which we provide. We also have a technology transfer office. So the role of TTO here is to connect technology providers and technology seekers, so that the technology gets licensed and then gets commercialized. Then as you saw, we are supporting inventive startups. So any invention has to be protected by any form of intellectual property. So we have an intellectual property facilitation center, IP phase, which does that. And then we have partnerships for further expansion, manufacturing, legal, HR help and all. So these are the different national programs which we are running at Venture Center. So a few glimpses of the facilities which we have. As I mentioned, the prototyping or tinkering lab. We have a ISO class 7 and ISO class 8 MedTech clean room. CAMS, that's a mass spec lab. The shared lab spaces, cell studio, where we have a flow cytometer and a confocal microscope. And this is the bioincubator building. Few more glimpses. So this is the front view of Venture Center, and then we have very good library, event spaces, meeting rooms. So that was all about Venture Center. I'll be happy to connect with those who are interested in getting more information, getting connected to us offline. Now, diving deep into the topic for today, understanding how to build a good grant proposal. Okay. So while we are doing this, we all need to understand what is a grant proposal. So it's nothing but a document which we are preparing, an application you can say, or a proposal which we are going to submit to the funding agency so that the funds will be given to support our work. Okay. So while we are preparing this, we identify which funding opportunity we want to apply to. We should first read the scheme document or guidelines carefully. So as I said, I mentioned about the funding database there. So if you go there, whichever funding call is right now open, you will see the website link for there. So go to that website. That website will have a detailed document which will be the scheme document or guidelines, and that should be read very carefully. Why? Because funding will happen only when your interest matches the interest of funding agency. So it's very important to first understand this aspect before you actually start making your application or proposal. So when we say that read the scheme document or guidelines carefully, what all you should look for in that document, okay? So the first thing you will look for is what has previously been funded, which agency it is, whether you're applying to say a DST, DBT, or any other funding agency, what call is that, what is their scope, what are they looking for. So one homework you can do is you can visit their website and see that if there are details of previous call, which people were funded, which organizations were funded, what kind of projects were funded. So that will help you understand more. Then you try to read the guidelines and check whether whatever you are trying to propose as a project for this particular funding, whether it suits that guideline. What is the scope, what is the area they have defined, do they have any theme, and whether your project fits that theme. Okay, then understand what is their selection process and timelines is very important. So suppose if you are at a very early stage and you know that you are not yet ready, you would need some more 6 months, and then that the whole process would be over in say 3 months. In that case, you are still not ready. Or what is the selection process? If the timelines are say 6 to 8 months, then that you have some time to complete some of the studies which are planned in this time, right? So understand what is the selection process, how many rounds of selection or reviews would happen, and what time you have with you to make the proposal, and after the proposal also to actually get the grant. Then will your organization or you will be eligible for it? So eligibility criteria is very important. Usually there will be some criteria related to nationality, structure of your company or organization, whether individuals can apply alone or it has to be a startup. If it's a startup, how old the startup is, all these kind of informations. And finally, you should know that who is the concerned person from that particular funding agency whom you can reach to if you have some last minute queries or you need some help with some of the questions there in the application. So that contact detail should be handy with you. Okay, so finally, once you have read the guidelines very carefully, you can make a checklist, and you can have a checklist of what all different documents are required, who will give you those documents, and you should have those documents ready for uploading. Usually nowadays it's an online application for uploading along with the application. Okay, so there would be two kinds of documents which would be required. One would be technical, which will be part of your application, which we'll discuss, and some would be non-technical general documents, like about say your CV or about your organization or some kind of different say identity proofs and all that. So have a checklist ready with you. So these are the proposal documents you are preparing to seek either funds, manpower, space, or buy some equipment to carry out the work. So you will again and again see that every slide I'll focus on this thing particularly. So what is this document actually? So this document is nothing but actually a marketing document. So you are very passionate about your idea. Okay, so you're trying to sell your idea, trying to sell your dream. So this is actually a marketing document which the investors or funding agencies will go through, and they should also be convinced with your dream. Okay, so it has to be that convincing when you're making it. So generally, any application, these are the different points which one needs to address, right? So they'll ask you what are your objectives or goals. So what exactly do you want to do? And that will also be part of say your title. So your title needs to be very brief and self-explanatory, which tells about what are you trying to do. So what you actually want to do, what you will achieve, that will be your objective. Why are you doing it? Why do you want to do it? What is the rationale behind doing it? What is the problem you are trying to solve? What is the need? Is there really a need for it? And how you are planning to do it? Okay, so that forms your rationale. How big the problem is, all that you will explain. Next is outcome. So once you have defined, this is my objective, this is why I am doing it, what will you actually achieve? What will be the result of doing the whole exercise? And say if it's a 1-year grant, then in that 1 year, finally, what will be the outcome? And how will you know you have achieved it? Okay, what will be those different milestones? or how will you demonstrate? How can I, evaluate that yes, you have achieved it? Next is methodology, which is very important. How do you plan to do it? Unless you have a very good plan with you, a systematic plan, okay, you will not be able to achieve. So your plan has to incorporate all the things which are required to execute these activities which you plan. So what kind of equipment you require, facilities you require, manpower you require, consumables, all that should be well thought of and should be part of your plan. And then once you actually sketch out your plan, you will get to know which are the different milestones in your plan. Say one thing achieved, this is done. Then you start with second part, that is done. So these are different milestones. And while you're doing that, you will also identify who all people will actually be required to help you to complete those different milestones or parts of your project. Next, very important thing is how much money you need, right? Budget. So that calculation has to be done very carefully, properly. Timelines, how long each activity which you are defining in your plan will take. Accordingly, you will decide the timelines. Evaluation, as I said, you have goals, and how will you actually, find out whether your goals have been met or not? So what all would be the criteria, what kind of data you will generate, and looking at that data, we will know that, okay, this was the objective, this is how the data looks like, so this is the result. So what data will be generated will tell about evaluation. And very important thing is the last point here, credibility. Why the funding agency should select you, okay? So why you will be able to do it? Maybe you have the right kind of educational background, you have that kind of experience, expertise, your research area, focus area, thrust area is into that, and you have actually done some prior art work and you have published it also, or you have people in your team who have the relevant experience, to do the parts of the project, and together this project would be completed. So how credible you and your team are. So these are the things you will have to address in any grant application. So now moving on to a specific example, that is BIRAC's Biotechnology Ignition Grant, that's BIG. So we all know that there's a Ministry of Science and Technology, and there is Department of Biotechnology. Now, Department of Biotechnology usually supports basic research, and BIRAC, which is Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, is a Section 8 company formed by DBT in 2012. So the aim of BIRAC is to actually support applied research. So you can say that this is an industrial arm of DBT. And here they have different funding opportunities, and BIG is one which supports early stage startups. So it's an early stage funding, and we'll talk about this more, like what it is, what is the eligibility criteria, and what all goes into the BIG grant application. So the purpose of BIG, so here you have to understand, I am taking example of BIG, but for any grant application, any funding opportunity, this would be the same. Every grant will have a purpose, a scope, eligibility criteria, what all goes into the application, and all that. Okay. So the purpose of BIG specifically is to support projects which are, at say idea or proof of concept stage, and then you want to say, if you are at idea stage, you will generate proof of concept. If you are at a proof of concept stage, you will further do more studies and try to validate your proof of concept. Okay, and this all you will be doing for a promising and innovative technology idea. So here the aim is to promote creation of, so it's all related to commercialization of your idea. So you will be creating a new startup based on your innovative idea, or if you already have a startup, you are at an early stage, then to support your startup to build your POC and validate it further. So the highlights are, this is a funding to startups as well as individuals. The funding is in the form of a grant, but there is a royalty clause which was recently introduced. But I hope the audience here understands the difference between the grant funding and the funding which comes from investors. So usually a grant funding, what is expected from the applicant or the grantee is that once you get the grant, say suppose here it's a 50 lakhs grant over 18 months. So for 18 months, you will have some defined milestones or activities to be completed with this 50 lakhs. So at the end of the 18 months, you're supposed to, prove that you have completed it, and in between also there are milestones, and you have to then submit the report that what you have completed, and based on that completion your funds are released. That's about grant. That's a grant in aid, where your only expectation of the funding agency from you is you complete whatever milestones you have defined. Okay, but if it's an investor funding, when an investor funds, they will ask you for equity. So whatever shares you have in your company, they'll ask you for say 5%, 10%, 15%, it all depends. So there it's not only that they would expect you to complete whatever you have proposed, but there is a financial commitment also there, right? So that's the difference between a grant funding and investor funding. So here it's a grant funding, but there is a small royalty associated now. And the advantage of getting in BIG is you get good mentoring, lot of referral support, advisory support. Once you are a BIG grantee, you get an opportunity, to learn from peers. You get a lot of visibility from networking events and networking with BIRAC, other BIG grantees, BIG partners. And that's how this is a very good opportunity to get your ideas evaluated by experts. And this is true in all the grant funds cases. Like, once you have submitted your proposal, you get to hear from experts, reviewers who are experts in that field about your idea. So they will tell you what are the good things there, what are the things which need to be improved. So that's the biggest opportunity here when you're building a grant proposal. So under BIG, what is supported is all the technology objectives. If you're trying to establish or validate your POC, if you're trying to repeat your experiments to de-risk your technology, okay, trying to develop your technology, trying to generate scientific data to demonstrate your idea, either to the licensors, you may wish to license your technology, or to investors for further fundraising. What is not supported is also very equally important to understand. So what is not supported is exploratory research. If you have just a research plan which will not lead into any commercialization of the technology, product or service, that is not supported. If it is not novel, it is not supported. If there are a lot of EHS and ethical risks which are involved, and then clinical trials, late stage validation, which is not possible in 18 months period and with 50 lakhs rupees, that will not be supported. And obviously PhD student research will not be supported. So these are the broad domains which are supported under BIG. So you can see there is healthcare and medical biotech, and then these are the different areas. Agriculture, secondary agriculture, allied sciences, and these are the different areas there. Industrial and industrial biotechnology, green technology, and these are different focus areas. And then there are special focus areas like bio IT, IoT, AI, ML, all these. So very important thing, eligibility. So as I said, the startups as well as individuals can apply. If you are a startup, then your company should be, say, not more than 5 years old. And then there are other eligibility criteria related to nationality and all, and the company should have a functional R&D lab. If you don't have your own facility, then you will have to be associated with an incubator like us. Like as I showed you, we provide dedicated lab spaces, and then we are well equipped with other kind of lab facilities to help you develop your POC, do your experiments. So that needs to be done. And if you are applying as an individual, in that case, you have to remember that this is a full-time activity and not a part-time activity. I see that someone has raised their hand. So can I request you all to please keep posting your questions in the chat box, and maybe we'll take them at the end of the session. So for individuals, it is full-time thing. So you should have completed your 4 years of graduation. And if you are faculty, then you have to know that, this is something you'll have to pursue full-time. So you need to have those kind of arrangements within your organization. And since you are an individual, you may not have R&D lab of your own, so you can get incubated at a technology business incubator like ours. And the project leader has to understand that it's a full-time thing, okay? So very important thing, what is the evaluation criteria? And this is for BIG, but more or less for different grants is the same. So first they'll see is how feasible your idea is. So whatever we are proposing on the paper, whether it has the, it would be successful. If successful, at what scale? We are all talking about commercialization. So we need to understand whatever is possible at lab scale should also work at a pilot scale and then finally at a plant scale, right? So whether the idea is technically feasible, also economically feasible, whether as a startup you will be able to make profit with it. How novel the idea is. If people have already done it, then that may not be supported. So you have to, prove how novel it is. The importance, what problem you're trying to solve, what impact it will have, whether it will have any social impact or whether it is really a burning problem you're trying to solve and there is an unmet need, no one has looked into this area, all that will be seen. What is your commercialization strategy? So, what is your plan? Whether you have thought of, what are the different steps which would be involved in commercializing it and taking it actually to the customers. How your team looks like. This is now, if you see, novelty and team have highest weightage. Okay, so whether your team is credible enough, has the necessary experience, background, expertise, and there are people with complementary skills which would be required to actually complete that project. All this would be seen. Finally, if there are any barriers with respect to, say, regulatory or EHS risk, if all that is there, and if you have good strategies to address them, and what is your plan like? So that is your experimental plan, the methodology, how well you have structured that plan. So here, very important thing is the scoring will not be additive. If you are not doing well on any of these, then your proposal might fail. So if you have everything here, but it is not novel, then in that case, you may not get BIG. So that will depend on grant to grant. Each grant would have a different evaluation criteria, but more or less it would be like this only. So some tips and pointers for BIG application or any application when you're trying to build your storyline. So as I mentioned, this is more like a marketing document where you're trying to sell your dream. Okay, so the storyline can start somewhat like this, that you say that, this is an unmet need which if solved with have enormous effect or impact. Or you can say the solution lies in, and then you explain your solution. People have tried it. So whatever you're working on, maybe people have already tried it, or there are some competitors in the market, but then there are some shortcomings. So you can say that people have tried it this way, but the following shortcomings exist, and then you can say what are those shortcomings and how you are trying to overcome them. Then we propose to do this way, which will be different from what was done in the past, and if successful, will solve the problem in this way. This is the methodology we plan to follow. So these are the different, lines which could be there. You can incorporate them in your storylines. Okay, so you can say we are uniquely positioned to attempt this solution, and how you are uniquely positioned, that you need to explain. We have background, experience, credibility, track record, etc. So whichever actually is relevant to you, you can choose that and start it that way. So now specifically talking about BIG grant application. So every grant application, you will have a title, and your title has to be really good. Okay, it cannot be very long and boring that looking at the title itself, person feels that, oh no, I am not interested in reading this application. So your title should be very specific, should be self-explanatory. Reading the title, I should be able to understand what problem you are trying to address in what way. Okay, so make it very catchy. And then there'll be other details like who is applying and all that. Then in case of BIG, you will be saying there'll be a clear definition of POC, proof of concept, okay, which will be supported. So you will, for example, you will say to demonstrate proof of concept for So what is that for? Value or features of your product. Okay. So suppose here, if I take an example that I am developing a diagnostic device, okay, a handheld point of care diagnostic device for detecting blood glucose. So in that case, I can say that for a cost-effective point of care, handheld, user-friendly, rapid, and what is my prototype? That is a diagnostic device for what? It is for measuring blood glucose for diabetic patients, or to be used by diabetic patients. And how will it benefit them? So, they need not again and again visit the path labs, they can do it themselves. So somewhat like this, you will have to, there are so many things I am trying to describe in one sentence, but still it is very specific, not very lengthy. And that's how we define what is our goal or objective. Then comes what is the problem we are trying to address and what is the need. So define the problem. What is the big problem there? So you will start with a bigger problem and then go deeper into the problem you are trying to address. So try to be specific in the terms of, try to use numbers, okay, statistical data that to define your problem. Try to refer to good guidelines or medical agencies. If it's a medical problems, then you can refer WHO, ICMR, that way, how they have defined the problem, how they are looking at this problem, and then what potential impact this particular problem has on that country or world or that population, whatever. And then you need to identify what is the solution currently available for that problem. That is usually called as the gold standard, the current standard of care. And if there is a current standard of care, a gold standard, then what are the shortcomings? And then, those are the shortcomings maybe you're trying to address with that specific problem you're solving. Okay, so that's how you need to have a good problem statement. Then you will say that to overcome that problem, what is your solution? So what is your proposed solution? So this particular example which I have taken is of a diagnostic device, point of care diagnostic for diabetes. So here, how will the product look? So here you can see I have included an image. So including images really helps. That helps people to visualize. But you can always say that, you just have an idea in mind and the product is not ready. But you can look at the internet and try to find similar images, and you can remove the brand names, or you can actually say, this is not the real image and this is from internet, but this is how it will look like. So you can always add a note over there. So if I add an image, the advantage here is, till now I was just telling you that I am trying to develop a handheld point of care glucometer. But when I show you this image, it's very clear to you that how this is going to be used. So you know that, there'll be a needle, you'll have to prick the finger, place a drop of blood on a strip like this. That strip will go into this device and you will be seeing a digital display which will show you the reading. Yes. So this kind of idea you get only when you have a look at a picture, rather than if I would have explained it over here, it would have been very boring for you to read. Okay, so I can always list the key features of my product, but an image always help. Okay. Next very important thing is, as I said, that there will be people, there will be a gold standard, people must have done it before. So you then need to differentiate how different you are, how better you are from your competitors. So when we are doing that, we usually suggest to people to have a table of this kind, where you can enlist different parameters, okay, which would be relevant to your technology or product or process. And then you will have your product or proposed technology, and then the different competitors. Okay, then you need to identify the parameters. Like suppose again, if I take here the example of glucometer, so one very important parameter here, since it's a diagnostic, will be its sensitivity, its accuracy, its specificity, how much time it is taking, cost. Okay, so suppose if it is time, so in case of time, you can see that my technology, it takes 30 minutes, and the competitor product says, suppose it takes 2 hours, 8 hours, 6 hours, whatever. So you see a color coding here, right? So wherever I am better than my competitor, I would like to show it in a green color, or I can use any other color and say that green is say better than the competitor. Red means you are not that better compared to the technology, whatever. And then very important point here to observe is this is color coding is a qualitative analysis, but then we are also mentioning numbers here, which makes it a quantitative comparison also. So that's also very important. Wherever you have the data with you in form of numbers, please include it. I should not be saying, this takes less time, this takes more time, this takes more than the time taken by product one. No, if you know exact time, try to include those numbers there. That will have a good impact. Very important thing again is, if you have some preliminary data with you, try to include it in the application, because that will be evidence or a proof that you are credible, you know how to do it, you have done a part of it before, and it looks feasible and can be done. Okay, so if you have results, try to include them, some figures, pictures, brief experimental plan. So that will indicate the doability, the feasibility, and credibility. Okay, so results are always very important. And from those results, try to say what potential impact. So don't be very technical there and try to include everything possible which you have to show that, I have so much data. No, try to select which is the important data and what is that data trying to convey. That should be there on your slides in just one line. Okay, so this can be your own data if you have done preliminary work. If not, then it can be data from published data. So suppose it's a diagnostic which you're trying to develop, and there is a biomarker which you have thought of, and there is already a published data where people have checked for that biomarker for that particular disease, and it works. Okay, so then in that case you can say that I have scientific evidence from the published data for this biomarker, so I'll be selecting the same biomarker for my diagnostic. So that is also possible. If you have a raw prototype already with you, then please include its pictures, features, whatever tests you have done with it. Then, as we saw, very important evaluation criteria is team, how your team looks like. So try to include photos of all the people. Their detailed CV will be there in the grant application, but if it's a presentation like this, then you might include photo, and with the photo, their name, what is their current affiliation, what is their educational background, how much years experience they have, what expertise they bring, how would they contribute in this project. Okay, so all that you can mention here. And there'll be two set of people with you, a full-time team where you know that these people will be working with me full time in the lab, and there'll be some senior mentors, advisors. So suppose if it's a diagnostic for diabetes, I would like to have someone, a pathologist, okay, who has a good experience, who can actually evaluate my results and give me good feedback, a diabetologist. So these kind of people, or someone who has worked in diagnostic industry and can tell me, if I have to develop it as a business, then what are the different steps there, what could be the hurdles. So these kind of senior people will not be full time with you, but definitely they'll be your advisors. To try to include their information also. Next important thing is novelty. So how novel is your product compared to other competitors? So this is the criteria with which you will try to differentiate your technology or product. So while you are doing that, whatever is written here in the red thing, kindly don't use these kind of terms. So don't say that because it is more cost effective, because it is more user friendly, because it is acting very fast, rapidly. No, here you need to use the technical terms. So till whatever, say, usually we tell that a grant application, or if it's a pitch deck for investors, try not to use very technical terms or jargons which people can't understand. Okay, but when it comes to novelty and your specific claims which will go in your patent, there, if it is a technical language, let it be, and so that people know that how it is different from the competitors. So what will be the claims in your patent? So try to prepare those statements, and those will be your novelty claims over there. Okay, the patentable features you need to highlight here, which will actually bring a certain value to the customers. Then, as I said, we need to have a plan and milestones. Okay, so here for BIG, this is an 18 months grant. So you can see that the 18 months are divided into 3 stages here: first 6 months, then 6 months, and then last 18. So you have 3 milestones: M1, M2, M3. So taking ahead the same example of developing the diagnostic glucometer. So say suppose my M1 first milestone for first 6 months is designing of prototype. Then I will identify what all different activities need to go, what all consumables, who all will be required to design the prototype, and what will be the indicator which will demonstrate that I have achieved this milestone. All that I have listed here. So when the evaluation happens after 6 months, the reviewers, evaluators will look at this, and they'll see, okay, you had proposed you will purchase these equipments, so whether all of them have been purchased, okay, that has happened. You will hire, say, these people with this expertise, whether that has happened, okay. Then prototype design showing electronic circuits, so whether you have that design ready, whether you have data for that. So this is how you will be evaluated for each milestone. And your final milestone, again here you can see that it is very quantitative here. So we have said that 20 units of this glucometer will be ready, okay, and at least at 3 centers we will start testing these 20 units. And the final grant end deliverable is a device will be ready that detects blood glucose levels within 2 minutes. So time is described with a limit of detection. So it has to be very sensitive, right? It has to have a limit of detection, whether it is able to cover that clinical range or not, at what percent sensitivity, specificity, accuracy. So here you can see that there are a lot of numbers, and these numbers really create a good impact. So try to include them. Now, as I said, BIG grant is all about commercializing your project, your product, your process, either licensing it or yourself you commercialize it. So when you are trying to commercialize, you need to have a good business model. So you have to have a strategy for commercialization. For that, you must know who will be your end customer, end consumer. Okay, you should be talking to them from the idea stage to get their feedback and work on your product. What will be your offering for the customer, whether it will be only the product or some consumables related to the product or some service related to the product also. So see, in this particular case, the glucometer, I will sell the glucometer to my customer, right? After that, how will I earn money? So I have those strips, right? That's a consumable, which is a recurring thing which my customer needs to buy again and again to use the product. So that is something I'll be offering them again and again. Then I might even set up my own diagnostic lab where people come and I give them end-to-end service related to diabetes. So there could be different kind of business models which one can think of. So for that, what you can do is you can look at similar international startups or startups in India and who are supported by investors. Look at their business models, how they have done it. Look at the estimated what price point they are selling it and how you would be selling. So you have to position your product in that way in the market. Now, as I said again, that BIG is all about commercialization. So any grant proposal, you will definitely have a detailed plan of activities for that grant duration. But after that grant is over, what is your plan ahead? That is also very important. Whether you will be continuing this work or you will just drop this and start with something new. That is something not a good idea, because you should be pursuing it till it has some value either it is taken up by some big industry or it reaches the final customer. So here we have a timeline chart where, I tell that at the end of BIG grant, my prototype will be ready, which would be validated. But I know that this is a diagnostic product. So I'll have to reach more channels. I'll have to raise more money because I'll have to have some kind of certifications, approvals, without which I'll not be able to manufacture and sell this product, right? So I need to do all that documentation work, get all those approvals. I need to collaborate with a lot of people, with supply chain people, manufacturing people, and then need to do a lot of business development, marketing, and then finally the product will reach the end customer. So all these timelines you should know, how much each of them would actually take, how much time it would take, and how much money it would need. So like this, you will have milestones. So you need to understand any grant, they will not directly give you all the money on the first day once the result is announced. Okay. So you will get the grant, say in tranche, in parts. So for BIG, say, once you sign the agreement, you are a BIG grantee, you get 30% of the grant. Then once you have completed your first milestone, next 30% is released. So that like this, unless you complete whatever you have committed, the money is not released. So you get it in parts. So you have to plan your activities accordingly. And then you need to understand for each grant proposal, what are their different budget heads? What are they supporting under recurring, non-recurring? How much they are supporting? Are there any caps? Like for BIG, there is a cap for equipment. Only 30% can be used for equipment maximum. Say up to 1.5 lakhs you can use for travel, or manpower max 30%. So this all also you should first, that's why I said that read the guidelines very carefully so that you don't make any mistakes. These could be silly mistakes if you're, asking for more than 30% and they have said max is 30%. And then you need to have a very good justification. Which equipment you are proposing, why, for which kind of process or step in your development would you need it. So all that justification should be there. So that was all about BIG application, some pointers how to build a good BIG application or any grant application. And these are some final common tips for any kind of grant application to make it effective and get successful grant. So be realistic. Okay, be factual, be specific. That is very important. Be specific. Don't tell a big story. Be specific to the point. Don't talk in general terms and emotional terms. Use the scientific terms there. Use a language which anyone can understand. Okay, so you cannot use very big technical terms which maybe the reviewers or there are two things. If it is a very technical grant where the reviewers will be from that field, it's okay. But if it's an investor pitch where investors are going to read your proposal, there they may not be that technical expert. So there you need to understand which kind of language to be used. Choose a format that is clear and easy to read. Know your funder. So as I said, do some research about the guidelines, who all have been funded before, what kind of projects, do that homework. Start with a very good brief summary which describes the whole project very beautifully. Okay, so that will be very appealing and for the reader also, and they'll be they'll be interested in reading your whole application after reading that brief summary. Propose a realistic budget, as I said. So it should be realistic in the sense that suppose for a particular equipment or to complete an experiment, if you actually need 20 lakhs and you are showing that you will be able to do it in say 5 lakhs only, that means you're going to compromise somewhere. So don't do that. Be realistic there. Don't ask for more than you need. Make sure the figures are correct. Keep a record of how those figures were calculated. Okay, figures here means the numbers, the money numbers which will go into your budget. Okay, so you would have some supporting Excel sheets where all the calculations will happen. Submit all of the requested application materials. So as I said, different kind of forms or letters would also be required along with the application. So keep all of them ready with you. Take your time, write it again and again, rewrite it, work on it again and again. It has to be a very thought out proposal, and maybe once you have written it, ask your colleagues to read it again, so that you try to see whether they are able to understand what you are trying to convey. Okay, so try to take feedback and try to improve on it. Read the instructions, read the instructions, and read the instructions. That is always there. And meet the deadline for your application. So prepare well in advance. Don't keep it for the last day and the deadline. Then you will not be able to do a good job. So that's all from my side. So as I said, write, rewrite again. And very important thing is never give up. So it never happens that, sometimes some people get it at the first chance, some people don't get it. But that should not stop you. Keep yourself motivated and you submit it again. And before you submit it again, make sure that, you have talked to that funding agency, try to understand why you were not able to make it. What was lacking in your earlier application? Try to work on that before you actually resubmit it for the next round. So that's all from my side. I'm done and we can take up some questions. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smita. It was a wonderful session showing the entire journey of proposal writing. It's not only useful for the upcoming entrepreneurship, it's even useful for many faculty also, that a normal proposal, like I learned a lot from today's what not to do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So participants, please post your questions here. We will take one by one. There is also attendance links. Please, fill in your attendance. Okay. I'll just go quick. There are many questions. I'll go quick one by one. Can these advisor be a retired persons?
Sorry, can you repeat?
The advisors for our project can be a retired person?
Yeah. They can be. Yeah.
Okay. Next question, madam. If individual has to apply for a grant, for example, graduate with 2-year research experience in a central government funded project, can they apply for a project?
Yes, they can.
How can a full-time teaching faculty go for this? Can college lab setup be used? Please guide.
Yeah, full-time faculty, now it will actually depend on your organization also, whether your organization has a set of policies. If any faculty wants, wants to take a 2 years break to pursue this kind of thing. So every organization has their own policies, and now with this lot of promotion of entrepreneurship innovation is happening at academic institutions also by AICTE, NAC and all. So each institution is coming up with their own policies also to support these kind of activities for students and faculty. So if you have those kind of policies, arrangements, you need to talk to your higher authorities in your organization, and then you can do it. It's only thing that there should be NOC and a commitment that you'll be doing it full time. But this is for, say, I am telling you for BIG, but there are some grants which are for faculties also. So under BIRAC itself, there is PACE. There are 2 grants which are for faculty. Okay, so if you are applying for something of that sort, which will raise fund to support your own department, then that can be done being in the institution itself.
If the applicant is an individual who is working in different city than the city where the incubation center is located, will their application will be considered?
Yeah, that is not a problem. Yeah, that is never a problem. Yeah.
So there is one more question, ma'am. Please tell us something about application for setting up bio incubation facility at BIRAC BioNest.
Yes. So yeah, for this actually, this would be a quite detailed discussion, and just to help you understand this, we have something called as an incubation practice school at Venture Center, where, as you can see now, we are almost 15 years old. So we run a program called as an immersion program, where we help new upcoming incubators to understand how to set up an incubation, incubator, how to run it, how to be sustainable. So I would suggest you, please join us on social media. So Venture Center is there on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So we keep posting the events which we are hosting over there, or the funding calls which are open. So in fact, this month end itself, immersion program is planned, where you will get to learn all about, if you are trying to apply for Bionist. In that case, you will get to learn a lot during that immersion program. So I'll suggest that maybe my email address was there. I can again post it in the chat box. You write to me and I'll give you more information about it.
Thank you. I think there are a lot of message about a lot of appreciation for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm just going through one by one. Somebody asked your email. I will post it. I have posted the Venture Center's website.
Yeah. I'm just posting my email address.
Yeah. So you can get Dr. Smita's email also. She just posted.
Yeah.
And I think Ashwini want to talk. Ashwini, can you please unmute yourself and go ahead with your questions, please? Ashwini, you can unmute yourself.
Good morning, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Tell me.
Yeah, that was a nice presentation, ma'am. So actually, I want to know, I have 2 years of work experience in transcriptomics. So I have some ideas for which I needed some lab facilities and granting. Presently, I'm actually not working anywhere. So how can I go with this?
So what you can do, Ashwini, is you can either come to Venture Center and meet us in person, or you can drop an email where you can briefly describe, what is the idea you're working on and what you plan to do. And then we'll point out the specific funding calls which are relevant to you based on your idea. And we can even help you in building the proposal. So we have a pre-incubation program called as Ignition program. So if you become part of it, then you get 4 to 5 mentoring sessions in a year with us, where we help you, build your idea more. So that can be done.
Is it possible for me now apply even if I'm not working to?
Yeah. It's possible.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you so much.
So will the immersion program? Yes, it will be in virtual mode.
Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
If there is nobody have any questions, then we'll close the session. And on behalf of ARI and PKC, and on behalf of all the participants, I thank Dr. Smita Kale for this wonderful presentation about how to make the proposals. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Karthik. Thank you for the invitation. Yeah.
I request all the participants to, particularly those who are in Pune, you can go and meet Madam and with prayer appointment. So if you have any specific question, you can talk to her also. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So all the participants, I have some instructions for you all. Today, there is no second session, but we are going to have, tomorrow we have 2 sessions. Tomorrow we have 10:30 session also. Tomorrow we have 12 o'clock session also. Okay, that is the first announcement. And second is like on 20th, that is on Wednesday. So we'll not have session, but we will have discussion among ourselves. This attendance for this discussion and your actively participation discussion is very important to assess you for the final completion. So I request everybody to take part in the Wednesday discussion without any fight. With this, we'll close the session. We will meet again at tomorrow morning 10:30. Thank you so much. Tejaswini, we can close the session.